Hey everyone, this is Rosewood season 2, episode 13, called Pufferfish and Personal History. Starts off with several things going on with the woman driving into the farmer's market, um, seemingly dead, a man digging a grave, and another woman running with a baby, and Rosie taking medication and recounting his doctor's visit. Um, Turns out he needs to take medication because of the bender that he went on. Um, and he needs to do it right away. Um, if his body responds, then it should be fine. But if not, then he needs to get his affairs in order. Um, Once Rosie gets to the crime scene, we are told the victim's name is Naomi Bauer, and it looks like she had directions to visit a hospital. Um, so she felt this coming on. At the lab, Donna says that she wants someone to invest into the lab. And Rosie tells her, well, anyone you pick is going to be fine. Um, and when they start the autopsy, um, blood is flowing. Blood is not supposed to be flowing. Um, so they perform CPR and bring her back to life. Naomi is then put on life support at the hospital, and Rosie flashbacks to when he was on life support. Um, Once he's out of his reverie, due to Villa, um, he tells her that Naomi has diffuse paralysis and must have felt it coming on when she and her car had stopped at the farmer's market. She had developed severe hyperventilation, which is why they couldn't find a pulse or find a strong pulse on her at the crime scene. It could have been a condition that was undiagnosed or deliberate poisoning, but they don't know yet. At Naomi's apartment, Vias tells Rosie she noticed the vacant look he had on his face, but he brushes it off. Once inside the apartment, three of Naomi's co-workers come by. One of them's named Greta, the other's named Dimitri, and the third, I can't remember his name. But Greta says that Emmett Townsend was chasing the same story as Naomi, but no, Naomi won the story. So Rosie and Via ask where the other three, or where those three were, or where the last time or when was the last time they saw her, and it was at 7 a.m. that morning. And since they know what happened to her was sudden, someone had to have poisoned her very recently. And so Via and Rosie go back to the hospital. Once there, they find out she's checked herself out. Um, but Via finds her at the station. Um, they ask her about Emmett, and we're told that they've been rivals since high school. She says when she won the story, he asked to do it together, but didn't buy it. Um, but she doesn't think that she doesn't know if he's capable of murder. But she does know that there's a whole host of people who could have wanted to kill her. At the lab, Rosie sees that Donna has found someone, but it's gonna want to be, and this person's going to be vocal about what goes on at the lab. Rosie's not too happy with this at first, but he decides to let Donna schedule a meeting. Pippi found out that Naomi was poisoned with tetrodotoxin, which derived from pufferfish. Um, Via then calls and says Emmett just got off at the exit near his house, so she and Rosie go to see what he has to say. Once at Emmett's house, they find a video of Emmett being killed, and his body is upstairs in a chair. Clearly, someone having drove him home. Naomi then identifies Emmett, and she tells Via, or when Via tries to tell her to try to get her out of try to get her to go home. She says, well, I'm not going home because I'm searching for the truth just like you and Rosie do. So I'm planning on staying. They find a puncture wound on the back of his neck, seeds on his clothing, and cuts on his forearms. So it stands to reason the killer went through great lengths to not be identified or have the crime scene identified when they brought Emmett back to his house. We come to find out that he was wearing a GoPro, which automatically uploads video to a cloud. Um, and that's why they were able to see a video of him being killed. Pippi ran more tests and found they were both poisoned. Emmett and Naomi were killed with a synthetic form of tetrodotoxin. Naomi is surprised to hear that, and Via thinks she knows who tried to kill him. Um, Naomi says that the story they were fighting over is something she thinks Emmett didn't drop. Um, the story she was working on was about a company named Lencorp, and they are suspected of kidnapping homeless people, testing new products on them. And one of them was TTX. The founder is Ian Alexander, and so they bring Alexander um, into the station, but he doesn't cooperate at first. Though he does admit that he doesn't know who Emmett is when asked about him. Um, they have to find a way to get a judge to sign a warrant after they release him, and Rosie and Villa both say Diaz at the same time. Um, they bring Diaz a sandwich from his favorite restaurant, and but Diaz doesn't bite until Naomi talks to him, telling him about how Emmett's mom was I think she said a journalism student or a journalism teacher there at their high school, even though she didn't necessarily have to be a teacher. Um, and she explains that Emmett's mother lit the fire in her to want to be a filmmaker, or a documentarian, or if that's the right word for it. And Emmett fanned the flame of that uh, um, was inside of her to make these films. Um, and that gets through the Diaz, which allows them to test the TTX from Lencorp. But we come to find out that it isn't a match, and we also find out that all the videos Emmett made were wiped off of his computer. Via then calls and says that she found out what Emmett's story was about. Um, and when um, Rosie and Naomi get to Emmett's office, she says that the story was about Naomi. Back at the station, they ask why to investigate her, and she can't come up with anything until she realizes that it was most likely because she grew up in foster care since she was a baby, and she doesn't know where she doesn't know who she comes from, and where. Uh, and the reason she says at this point she says the reason she didn't look into it was because she's so obsessive, and figured if there were so many other stories to tell, then why not tell those instead. Sylvia tells her Emmett's killer moved his body for a reason, so the crime scene is most likely a clue to get to her past. She then starts to, smell something, and before she has a seizure, and so she's taken to the hospital. And when Rosie and her doctor talk, he comes in and tells her that the spontaneous bleeding that she had when she had the seizure isn't a side effect of the TTX. So Rosie and her doctor think it is triggered, excuse me, by a previously asymptomatic condition that's causing all of her problems. Um, and they think it's most likely genetic and would normally pull, and since they would normally pull a medical history, they can't because of her being a foster kid. Rosie then warns her that if they can't find a history, she might die soon. But she says, you know what, that's fine. I just need to be able to find out what's going on with me. Back at the lab, back at the lab, they found nematodes that glow in the dark, and they're all over Emmett's body. They are found in a lot of soil, but can be narrowed down. Naomi, Via, Rosie, Slate, and Hornstock go to where they think Emmett was, and they come across an abandoned house. They see pictures of a guy named John Teller, who was a religious cultist who at first gathers college students into his cult, but then recruited families. He would dress the women in pink, or women and girls in pink, and the boys and men in blue. and convinced them that they were all part of a supreme being. John and his cult spent years in the public eye, and then one day just dropped off the face. The majority of his cult dropped off the face of the earth, um, and pretty much most of those bodies were never found. Though, what did happen was some of the um, adult cultists were locked up in jail I think along with Teller as well. Not sure if he's dead, but for sure, but I think that's what they alluded to is that he was arrested as well. Dia then doesn't know what this has to do with Emmett and Naomi, but Naomi walks up and tells them that she thinks she does. And the picture she has brought down from the upstairs has a baby in it, and the baby in the picture has the same exact birthmark that she does. So she figures out that she was born into the cult. They figured out her mom from the photo and set the information up in the conference room, but before she goes into it, she starts having starts having doubts. So she also tells Via that what she said before about not wanting to look into her past was only partly true, and the other part of the reason why she didn't look more into her past was because um, she didn't want to unlock a horrible past, and even though Naomi doesn't want to go in at first, Via talks her into it. They found out her mother's name was Colleen Brady, who was a college student at one of the local colleges, I think community colleges, at around the time Teller started the cult. Um, and they had identified her through a missing persons poster that her parents made at the time that she went into the cult. But um, Naomi's grandparents, Colleen's parents, were cremated 5 years prior, and there's no other immediate family that they can find at the time. In order to save Naomi, they need to find her mother, and none of the adults are none of the adults locked up are Colleen. Um, but they do think that Colleen was the informant that um, made the case against Teller, and I think Teller killed her for it. They were planning on going upstate to talk with one of Teller's followers to see if they knew anything, but they come to realize that Emmett most likely is the one who most likely already did that, and so and they also figure Emmett was digging up Colin's body, which is how the nematodes got on his arms. At the cult house, Naomi wonders why Colin would want to go back to the cult, and Rosie and Via figure that the only way to be safe was to work with the FBI, and that would help make sure she got back to Naomi. Um, Eventually, they do find the remains of Colleen. At the lab, they find out that Colleen had bone cancer as well as Frau-Many syndrome, which makes people prone to tumors. Naomi has been found out to have a tumor on her adrenal gland, which is what made her bleed from the nose and have her seizure. Rosie then realizes that the humidifier in Naomi's room is how the TTX got administered to her. Rosie, Via, Naomi, and Naomi's crew all watch Emmett's documentary, at least what he shot of it, and explain the story to them. Naomi continues on to say that Teller had a son who went into foster care after Teller was arrested. Um, Emmett found him in Miami and filled him in, and we find out it was Dimitri the entire time who was the one who was trying to kill her. Find out that Dimitri befriended Naomi to get close to her and then kill her. And I personally thought it was him because something about him seemed a little off in the beginning of the episode. Um, and it was just like, it was something about him was just like really off. But he did it because Naomi's mom ruined his life. I mean, what other excuse does he have? Anyway, so back at the lab, Rosie tells Donna he knows that she is the investor, and she got the money. We find out that she got the money from Gerald, who had paid her back with interest. Um, and Gerald had gotten the money from a wrongful conviction suit that he filed against the state. So Rosie then lets Donna invest. Rosie then checks on Naomi, and she figures out his rival is himself. She tells him that he is David from David and Goliath, and he could be Goliath one more time, even though he has beat Goliath once before, even though Rosie is tired. So that's pretty much the entire episode. I liked it. Uh, I thought it was a good, mystery. I mean, I kind of figured it was the Dimitri dude. I just didn't know how he figured it out all of it, but I figured it was him. Um, anyway, so next week on Rosewood, someone manages to become a ghost while committing murder. Um, so we'll see. They don't really give you that many clues about who it could be because they don't show you anybody the victim has either has come into contact with or actually works with. So I can't really make any predictions. But I'm really starting to like the second part of the season. Um, I really am. I'm really starting to like it. It seems to be picking up a bit more and having more plausible storylines in my opinion, but that's just me. But I will see you guys next week on Rosewood. Um, bye.